Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce Jay Topping, who is going to be our next history speaker. Jay, over to you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. What a wonderful event. I mean, it's amazing. And we've got a lot of great groups here today, history groups, charities, other different venues. But I'm going to just talk briefly about these mountains. And even though I'm a historian from Scotts Valley, back in the day there was no Scotts Valley or all these different towns. It was all one. So all that history was combined. Another amazing fact is that just about every major road that we drive on through these Santa Cruz Mountains was once an Indian trail. Let that sink in for a second. The highways that we drive on, the old roads that we drive on, they were once Indian trails that went over the mountains. And from Scotts Valley, a man named Hiram Scott, who's the founder of, they say, of Scotts Valley, and Mountain Charlie were the two men that were paid by the Santa Cruz County to come and give the roads, clear the trails up so there could be a road over the mountain. So Hiram Scott started working from Scotts Valley up. Mountain Charlie McKiernan started working from Summit Road down. And they actually made the roads passable because before that you could not take a wagon over the road. You could not even take a carreta, which were the Spanish carts, let alone a stagecoach over these roads. So they made the roads wide enough and not as steep as they were at one time, so that these other modes of passage could come through. So when you think about that, driving the roads today in Santa Cruz Mountains, it can be a bit of a challenge even today, can't it? Especially in the winter months. Well, can you imagine if these roads were just dirt? Are they hearing me good enough? If these roads were just dirt, then the wintertime, you can imagine the runoff. It was a terrible thing to have to cross these roads. Now, when Hiram and Mountain Charlie were building their road, there was another competing road coming out of Soquel. So you can imagine there's two groups of men coming from two different places to try to get up to the summit and over the mountains. And this is in the years of 1850, 53, 58. And the men all had big money backers behind these roads because they saw more commerce coming if these roads could be finished. So the Soquel Road to Summit Road got finished a couple months before the Scotts Valley to Summit Road got finished. But it was a much worse road. It had much more problems with it. So when things started really smoothly going, there was a toll house in Scotts Valley. If you've been in Scotts Valley where the Bank of America building is, that was Hiram Scott's house, and he had a toll station there. And Mountain Charlie then, at the summit, had a toll station there. And those tolls basically paid for the maintenance of these roads. And they were pretty treacherous. We have newspaper articles from the 1870s from newspapermen saying it was the wildest, scariest, funnest ride they'd ever taken in a stagecoach going over the Santa Cruz Mountains. And you've probably heard the stories of the different drivers. Most notable is One-Eyed Charlie. Now, many people get her mixed up with Mountain Charlie, with Charlie McKiernan. One-Eyed Charlie was a woman who pretended to be a man because of the times. For her to make a living, she had to reinvent herself as a man. She was a wild, wild driver, but never had any accidents. And she could out-whistle, she could out-cuss, she could out-drink most men, stagecoach drivers. So she had quite a reputation. But nobody knew she was a woman until she actually passed away. And her closest friends were getting her body ready for burial and discovered she was a woman and not a man. So pretty cool thing that she pulled off for the times. She's the first woman to have voted in the United States. And there's a marker there in SoCal. She voted as a man, but she was a woman. So she's one of the colorful people of the Santa Cruz Mountains. Mountain Charlie is another one. You probably heard the stories of Charlie and the grizzly bear. Has anybody heard that story? A lot of people think they know the story of it. But Charlie was up in the mountains with another man named Taylor when he came upon a mama grizzly and 2 baby cubs. They thought that they could get around up above her, and unbeknownst to them, she knew what they were doing, and she came at them out of a blind. And she came at Charlie first. They both shot at her. Taylor hit her with his bullets. Charlie couldn't. And she came at him, grabbed him by the forearm, and started ripping his arm off. He takes his rifle and he's banging her over the head, the grizzly bear, to no avail. Then she grabs the side of his face. And she really absolutely just rips off the side of his face, his cheek, and part of his skull. Most men would have died easily. That's a whole hour lecture I could tell you about how he survived. It is really amazing. But the man did survive. And if any of you are from the Los Gatos Mountains here and you know the Schulteis Ranch, Schulteis Road and Summit Road, it was Mrs. Schulteis that is credited for saving Mountain Charlie's life. And she was actually able to keep him alive until a doctor could be found in San Jose. You imagine riding a horse from Summit to San Jose, how long that would take. Find a doctor, get the doctor to come back up to Summit, and then the doctor determines we've got to make a plate out of silver. So we go all the way back to San Jose, riding a horse again. They make a plate for the side of his head, and there was no painkillers, there was no drugs back then. The only thing that kept him alive possibly was being able to swig a bottle of whiskey. They come back up, they put the plate over his head, sew it onto the side of his skull. Within a few weeks, or maybe even months, he comes and he lives with Hiram Scott's family in Scotts Valley, and that's where he recuperates. We didn't know this till recently. We found a newspaper article saying he was recuperating at the house of Daniel Scott, which was Hiram's father. So Mountain Charlie, just an amazing guy. He went on to not only surviving, but being a very prominent businessman. He had 11 children, and he married his nurse. So, pretty amazing life. Those are just some of the stories. I mean, I'm just hitting the tops of the waves because we don't have the time. But Mountain Charlie and Hiram Scott were amazing men. I'm writing a book about Hiram Scott right now. We hope to have that finished within 5 years. There's a lot to write about. But anyways, I think I'm done with my time. So the story of Hiram Scott and Mountain Charlie and our roads. Very, very abbreviated. I just want to say, too, that we have the 1853 Scott House, where Mountain Charlie recuperated, is in Scotts Valley, and we give tours. And we invite all the public to come and see the Scott House. It's well worth it. It is the second oldest wood-framed house in all of Santa Cruz County. It was built in Scotts Valley. So it's right by City Hall. And there's a little park there called MacDorza Park. It's behind where the Bank of America building is on Scotts Valley Drive, but right in front of City Hall. We conduct tours on Sundays. If you have a local group that would like to come and see it, we love doing tours of the house. Built in 1853 out of local redwood timber, and just seeing the boards, the size of the boards, it's just an amazing thing to see. So we'd love to have you if you wouldn't mind being had. Thanks, everybody.